awesome. Awesome.
That was awesome.
You guys are awesome.
No, you're awesome.
You are awesome.
Sir, you are awesome. Seriously.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Welcome to Everything is Awesome, where we talk about awesome things and awesome people. I'm your host, Kev, and this week we have a very special guest, someone who has, if I had to guess, as a child, dreamt to play a sport that he loved, and he was lucky enough to accomplish that dream, and I was lucky enough to work with him and get to know him, and I would say become a friend, and without further ado, the one and only former Major League pitcher, Jim Hoey, or James
What's
Hoey.
going on, Kev? What's going on?
Nothing much, man.
You can call me your friend. It's okay.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
We're on that type of relationship.
I feel like we're friends. I feel like so. So a little backstory is that you worked for we'll just call it Company X. You started back in April of last year.
February.
Oh wow!
That's what I retired. That's when I retired back in February of 2014.
And we will get to that point of your story unless you take us elsewhere. But so February of last year is when we started working together. Wow, I didn't realize it was that long. So we worked together.
I know. Tell me about it.
For over a year.
Yep. Went quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it was super, dude. It's October 2015. Life is just. I can't believe I'm 31 years old. Yeah, I got that right. Like, I remember 10 years ago being a dopey 21-year-old, with a real job and like just pissing my money away, drinking booze.
I remember those. What was that? Yeah, that was so long ago. I got drafted into baseball. That's right out of college.
That
was.
So, how old are you?
32.
30. Okay, so we're about the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, time goes by, and I'm sure like you've had like a lifetime of experience with baseball. But yeah, so we started working together at Company X back in February, and just I remember when you first started, I would say, this guy thinks he's big time, you know.
Is that the perception I give off?
No. It's because you were a baseball player.
No, they call it. What's it called? They call it big leaguing.
Oh, is that what it is in baseball?
Yeah, you know, you just like kind of snob somebody. Hey, he big leagued me. You know,
okay.
He didn't talk to me. Yeah, it's a running joke.
No. It was honestly, so. I guess somebody told me that you were used to play in the major leagues, and I'm like, fucking no way. And then like I finally Googled your name, and like now I can say with a smile, like,
Google it.
If I Google my friend's name, like it comes up as like an important person.
There's like a plethora of images of me just staring at you with my eyes, you know, it's just kind of eerie, you know, you see that one mustache, don't look so happy.
and I just remember saying, wow, man, this guy is big time. And that was, I think, like, eventually, I know another person, I think he said it a couple times, but I know eventually we started just kind of laying it out there once in a blue moon. But, and then we became friends, bonded over some Batman stuff and other comic book stuff.
Yeah, we kind of ventured into that, didn't we? Didn't some T-shirts, some superhero T-shirts.
We didn't end up, selling the shirts, but the designs still exist. And
I really wish we went to Comic-Con. You need to come out to California and go to San Diego, and we'll go to that actual Comic-Con.
Yeah, let me tell you, there is so many reasons for me to go out to California. The most important one for me is Comic-Con, and I've been given the okay to just go ahead and go whenever I want, as long as I have the money for it. But I also, it's something that I want to share, because it may be a one-time thing only for me. So it is something that I want to share with the family. So it is something like, all right, well, I got to find the right time to bring the kids and stuff. But if I can get some press pass action, which is not hard, maybe for San Diego, it might be hard for me to do.
How could you do that? That's the question. Could you register for like a paper and like just be, hey, I'm a photographer?
No, I have done it for Wizard World. So the Comic-Con that we were going to go to, for those that don't know what Wizard World is, it is probably, we'll call it like the third largest like comic book convention, and it's the only one that I know of that actually kind of tours the country. So there's a Wizard World pretty much once or twice a month throughout the country. And in Philadelphia, it is like the big event for like that I know of, like as far as like geekdom is concerned. They're trying to like this past month they tried to push Walker Stalker Con, but this Wizard World is kind of big out here in Philly, so much so that I believe this year that we were going to go was the first year they expanded it to 4 days from 3. But I did, just having a podcast and a website and a blog is all I needed to get a press pass from them.
Interesting.
So we've tried it with E3. That's a little bit harder to get into from what I hear.
Where's that one at?
E3 is, I believe it's out west. It's but it's open. It's for video games, and it's for the media only. So, like IGN goes out there, other video game blogs that I would probably should know but don't. Like real media gets out there.
Well, we won't hold you to that. It's okay. We won't hold you to that.
Listen, I haven't played a real video game in about 50 years. That's what happens when you have a child. It's very few video game playings. But here's the cool thing about having a kid now that is almost 4 years old. I do get into some more video games now because of getting to that.
There you go.
And
Bonding time.
What I think is the coolest bonding time we have is, I don't know if it's going to turn into something we put out there for the public to listen to, but like once in a while we'll come out into what we've dubbed the shedio. I've turned my shed into a studio, and
great name.
Yeah. Oh, I
trademark. Trademark that name.
It is. I mean, I guess it's a copyright at the very least. But yeah, so we'll come out here and we'll record a podcast. Him and I will sit down for 5 minutes and we'll just chat about his day. And it's the coolest thing. Like that to me.
That's great. Did you make him his own channel? Like it was his show? Yeah.
It's called, I think the official name is Kid Chat is what I'm going with.
Okay.
And like it's him. Like he sits there and like I try to coach him into saying like welcome to Kid Chat, and when we go to sign off I kind of coach him to say goodbye to people and give the plugs and whatnot, and he digs it. Like he likes sitting there recording.
That's great.
So I'm slowly forming him into a mini me.
People listening to this podcast, where can they find that?
Well, if it's going to be posted by the time this goes live, it will be probably on thatentertains.com, which is where this podcast I believe is going to reside. And eventually there's going to be a podcast network. Anyone listening to this that has followed my podcasting career over the last, we'll say, 8 years or so, hhwst.net will be the future home of any podcast I do or produce. So I would say check thatentertains.com, awesomepodcast.com, and hhwst.net, and I'm sure you'll find the Kid Chat. You'll find Everything is Awesome. And
can you subscribe to it?
Not yet, but if I post it out there, basically, Jen told me she needs to listen to it and give it the okay before she'll let it go out there to the public, since it's her kid.
Okay.
So
right on. That's your editor. You can call her your editor.
Yeah, and that's what. So like, I sit down and we probably record for 15 minutes, him and I, and then
that's great.
I edit it down to it's usually about 5 minutes of usable air. The 2 or 3 episodes we've done. The first episode we talked about, I think, his day and how to sign off with the podcast, and I brought up references that he won't understand, like Kevin Smith and probably the term podcast in general. And then the second episode we talked about something that we both have common likes for is the Turtles. Him and I just sat down and talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for like 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
So that's what I've been doing, besides wanting to go crazy professionally. But that's a story for not the microphone, And we'll get to your California story, but I kind of want to start a little bit, start the show off proper now, officially. And, we'll see if we go elsewhere during the course of this show. But we'll talk about your baseball career and kind of like, where did that start? I kind of mentioned that I feel like it probably started as some sort of dream you had as a kid. But I'll let you tell that story. Where did it start for wanting to be a baseball player, and how did you kind of get there?
I think every little kid wants to be a baseball player when they start up. Doesn't necessarily have to be baseball, sports in general. a lot of kids play football and then baseball or football and something else. There's always multiple sports rather than just one. But I just love sports all the way, my whole life, and I've always played. So in high school is when I stopped playing soccer and hockey and basketball and started focusing on baseball. And that's when I kind of knew where that was going to take me at that point. And it was just working to get to that goal, doing everything I could, whether it be in the weight room, whether it be studying television, studying video. You just do all that to push yourself every day and get to where you need to be.
That's interesting. I always kind of I feel like the athletes out there, I get the feeling that they're like, that's what they like, the Tiger Woods mentality, where he was 4 years old and playing golf, and it was that's what it was your whole life. So that's interesting that it wasn't just that one sport you had up until high school at the very least. And it's weird because you say that, and for me, I don't recall ever playing organized sports with like a school team or a county team. I think maybe like pickup games here and there, and I would have to defer to my parents to find out why. But for me, I was probably like a preteen when I sat down and said, I want to be a professional wrestler. and what? As much as anyone's dream can be accomplished, I feel like that was accomplished for me. But so
that was so popular back then. That was popular back in what was that?
The 90s.
90s?
Yeah, the 90s is probably when, like, I was born in 84, so and my earliest memory of wrestling is the 90s.
Yeah.
And I obviously remember like key things from the 80s, like Hogan and some certain Shawn Michaels stuff, since he was the guy that I followed. But yeah.
Who was popular in the 90s? I remember Hulk Hogan. I remember Macho Man, Randy Savage. That was the 80s, though, right?
80s bled into the 90s. Shawn Michaels was huge in the 90s. Later in the 90s, Stone Cold was huge. You actually forget that, like, Stone Cold and The Rock and a lot of the guys.
That was the 90s.
Yeah, they were like
Wow.
the mid to late 90s into the mid 2000s before they kind of left the business. So, like, if you sit down and think about it, like, you forget how long. Either how old we are or how long the business has been around at this point. And which
I like The Rock as an actor, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? When he first left wrestling for acting, I had a big problem with it, and not because he was a terrible actor. He was actually a really good actor, and still is. My problem was that I felt like he used wrestling to get there, because as soon as he found success in wrestling, in acting, he left WWE. But he has proven since then that he is a WWE guy, and he cares about the wrestling business. And I also was probably a late teenager, early 20s when that happened. So I feel like most people in that age frame, or age range rather, is a bunch of cynical assholes that just want to be negative, myself included. So I think that's where that came from. But yeah, no, I mean, The Rock has been great in almost everything I've ever seen him in. Like, even, and this is probably one of these guilty pleasures, but even like the Tooth Fairy, no, not the Tooth Fairy, the Game Plan where he's a football player and finds out he has a daughter.
Yes. I never saw that. I saw the trailer for it, and the only reason I laugh is because at one time he's wearing the butterfly little costume.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, and I haven't seen this movie since it first came out on probably some sort of HBO or Showtime or something, maybe even Netflix when it first started Netflix. Mm-hmm. But that movie, it has some feels. I will admit that and I didn't even have kids at the time when I first watched this. There is a part of that movie where, like, your heart sinks for a moment, and you're like, oh my god, what? And I cry. I don't know if I've ever talked about this at work, but I cried at the Muppets, the movie with Jason Segel. Like, I cried. I shed tears when Kermit gave a speech in that. So, like, I'm a crier when it comes to emotional shit, and I'm sure I cried during the Game Plan at some point, and I don't know if I liked it all the way through, but the end was good.
Never saw it. I gotta see it now.
It's worth a watch. Probably better to admit all of that when you have kids. So, as long as I hide the fact that I watched it before the kids, I'm usually in the clear. But, for the sake of being open, but yeah, where were we? Wrestling.
Well, I know we went off on a wild tangent. I'm not sure where we were.
Kids listening to this show, get used to it. If you've listened to the first episode or two that I did with Garrett, we just went on random tangents, and it's bound to happen in every episode. I kind of like the show that way. So deal with it or don't listen is what I say.
Keeps you on your toes, put it that way.
So you in high school, when you started studying up on baseball and kind of focusing on that as your sport, how did you progress further? Like, because I know a lot of baseball players can get drafted out of high school. Is that normal, or did you go to college first? What happened?
I went to college first. I went to Rider University in New Jersey, and I was half athletic, half academic scholarship. So it paid for my whole school. And then junior year, after 3 years of college, I got drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, and that was in 2003.
And so did you stop college at that point, or?
Yeah, at that point you kind of make a decision what you want to do. Do I go to professional baseball, or do I go back to school for a year? And it's a hard decision to make, but in the long run, I wanted baseball to be my career, and I figured I needed to get in at 1 year extra that I had, because 1 year in baseball is a pretty big deal when it comes to development-wise. So I went and made the decision to go pro.
And then from there, what do you start out in I assume their minor league system and build up?
Yeah, so I went right to, there's about 5 different leagues. There's Rookie A, Low A, High A, Double A, Triple A. I went right to Rookie A, so started from the bottom. That was my first year, and after that first year, I had surgery. I had Tommy John surgery on my right elbow, and that was in 2004.
Isn't that like a terrible injury to have as a pitcher?
So there's 2 main injuries. There's that one and a shoulder. I had the shoulder one as well. I would think that the Tommy John is the easiest surgery to get. There's only one moving direction in your elbow compared to your shoulder. So that was a piece of cake surgery to me. Yeah, it was a real quick recovery, and it was pretty easy.
Now, injuries common for a pitcher? And if so, for you specifically, is it something that you tried to hide because you wanted to push through and make it?
Oh, well, yeah, actually, that's right. In 2005, 2006, I started feeling my shoulder soreness, and that was the first year I actually made up to the big leagues. And I had checked out, and the doctor said, you're good. I went down and drove like 3 hours to Maryland to see the team doctor. He checked me out. He said, no, you're good. It was a 5 minute diagnostics. And he said, my dad and I just left and went back home, 3 hour drive for 5 minutes, 6 hours total. But yeah, after that, I just pushed through. In 2008, had the shoulder surgery.
Now, is that something that you would recommend to these kids out there wanting to play baseball? Is it something that you regret doing, or is it not that big of a deal because of the type of injury?
No, I would say take care of yourself. Take care of your body and do what you need to do as far as treatment, lifting, just maintaining some sort of routine to strengthen your body. And because nobody wants to have surgery, it sets you back a year and a half, and it's not good for the career. Like I said earlier, 1 year time in baseball is significant to miss in, say, a 5-year career.
Would that go for any position or pitching specifically?
Pitching, you'll see more injuries, and position players, they can't really predict an injury because it's all whether they get hit with a baseball, break a bone, or if they slide wrong, trying to catch a ball or to a bag. Other than that, there's no real typical position player injury.
You start out in the big league. So, in 2006 you said you got moved up to the big leagues?
Yeah, 2006. I was 23 years old.
With the team that drafted you still?
Correct, Baltimore Orioles.
What was the feeling at that moment?
The first thing is the weirdest thing. The first thing I thought about when I got the call to go to the mound was the lights were just very bright. I guess there's a big difference between minor league lighting on the field and big league lighting, but honestly, the first thought I had was, wow, it's bright out here.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you about this call then. Like, do you have time to kind of comprehend what's going on?
I got called that morning and drove to Camden Yards that night and pitched that night.
So you really don't have time to process.
No.
So, that's amazing.
Yeah, they just throw you right in. I mean, okay, so you're used to it. You've been through 4 levels of baseball. You've pitched in front of 20,000, 25,000 people in the minor leagues on a good day. And you're used to it. So when you get called up, it's just like the thrill of it. And then when you get on the mound, it's an adrenaline rush. You're not nervous. You're not anything else but excited. So it's an adrenaline rush. And, yeah, you're up in one day.
I feel like that's something that my mind just couldn't handle. Like, just getting the call and having to go through so many emotions in less than a 12-hour period.
Seriously.
That's, I think you need training for that. Mental training. Like, that's.
Yeah, what's great? That my parents were able to live about 3 hours away, and they just drove down that night and watched me pitch.
They
said, I'm coming to the game, and, they just took off of work and did it.
Now what's, were they big baseball fans? Were your family big baseball fans before you started playing professionally or even the minor leagues or?
Oh yeah, well absolutely. My dad's the one that taught me. He'd bring me to the park, hit me ground balls, hit me fly balls, catch for me, all through high school, and still caught me when I was, playing in the minors. So, he was always there, and he's probably the one that taught me my sports attitude, my determination, and my gameplay. So they were always baseball fans, and he taught me whatever, everything.
So huge supporters. They weren't the type of people that said, "Ooh, baseball, 1 in a million shot." You don't.
No.
That's very cool. I would imagine that's got to be almost 90% of making the decision to say that's what I'm going to do.
My mom would push me. My mom would bring me to all my sporting events during the week. It's just nonstop for her. She'd go to work, she'd come home, and bring me to a game, get me something to eat, and then bring me back home. So she'd always be there pushing me to each sporting event. I didn't just play one sport or one season. It was like every season.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm starting to go through as a father myself. Like I said earlier in the show, it's not something I ever experienced myself as a child. But I'm experiencing it as an uncle. I see how often my nephew plays, and now as a father, Trey is now in soccer for the fall, and it is a lot, especially as not right now because it's once a week, and it seems like the fall season, at least in like t-ball and in soccer, they take it easy on you. But the spring and summer and again, not so much my son because he's in practice t-ball and t-ball, but my nephew who is now, I guess he's 8 years old, so whatever level that would be considered. It's insane, like 3 nights a week for practice, weekend games, some night games during the week. It's insane how much you play as a kid.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can only imagine. I'm just looking back on what my mom did. I can only imagine what it is like as a parent to do it.
Yeah, you know what? I have yet to get to the point as a parent where I need to be there because I try to coach, and I will continue to try to coach as much as often for any of his sports that he plays. Mm-hmm. So I right now, because he's in the easy level stuff, I have yet to get to it, but I'm sure as time goes on, it's going to be, like I said, I see it with my nephew. It's a commitment as a parent just as much as it is as a kid who wants to do it.
Oh yeah, it's a huge commitment. I mean, that's where you have a kid for, to be committed.
as a person who didn't really play sports, at least the way you did, or the way my son is even playing as a kid, it's really nice to kind of be enthralled in that world, because it's not. I mean, if you knew me even 10 years ago, where I was really only a football fan, and even that was just Eagles fan. Before that, it was like, all right, I'll just whatever. It's wrestling or nothing for me. Like I was the more 10 years ago, I guess longer than that since we've been out of high school. We'll go 13 to 15 years ago. Like it was uncool to like what I like, and probably what you like the Batman stuff and the comic book stuff, the Walking Dead stuff, anything that has any kind of geek culture. It was like I didn't get beat up, but I lived in a school where that didn't happen.
That was definitely different. You're right. It was just a different style altogether. Things have changed so that, and I see it here. I'm in Silicon Valley. Things are just tech based. Everybody's online. Everybody's in the cloud.
Yeah.
In fact, that's how things work nowadays. So everyone's used to technology. Everybody's used to smartphones, and I think everyone has a smartphone, honestly.
You know what? There's a few people out there who don't, and I chuckle at that. But
yeah, I know. I'm actually on Skype on my iPhone, so it's I use my smartphone for everything.
Yeah, you know what? And there's a setup where I was thinking about using my iPhone as the Skype unit and going through my other more elaborate setup, but. I mean, and honestly, sometimes I used to do a show with a buddy where, we literally sat my phone down on a table and hit record, and that's how we recorded our show, and the quality is just as good as using this elaborate setup that I have now. So sitting down, if we were in the same time zone, same place to sit down face to face, we could literally record on our iPhone and it would sound just as good, if not better, than what we're doing now.
Yeah, amazing quality and technology nowadays and things that are coming up.
Yeah, and it's just, amazing that, 15 years ago, which is not that long ago in the grand scheme of things, that, it was uncool to like anything like technology, to like Star Wars. Now, the jocks in high school are on equal playing field as, the nerds as far as what's considered likable and acceptable to like.
Right. I mean, come out here and you'll ask somebody, if you don't know how to code, simple HTML code, then you're not the majority. The majority here, people are tech. I mean, again, look where I am. I'm in the heart of Silicon Valley.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, even in this age of making everything simpler, some people may not know how to code necessarily, but
you don't even have to. You're right. You might not even have to.
You got some WordPress themes, you got Squarespace, you got all these different website tools to help you build a website where you really don't need to know much HTML, which me personally I think is a shame, because and I know you're and we'll probably get to this in a couple minutes, but you're a far superior coder, web developer than I am. I kind of just play around with it, but I grew up in the world of Dreamweaver. I think the first thing I used was CS4 maybe, and even before that, that's like, hey, use front page, or use a text document and type out all your HTML code.
That's what I did back in 1998.
Yeah.
My first HTML page. In fact, you could probably find it on the web, but it was horrible. There was like flashing red and green lights everywhere. It was so simple and basic HTML.
Well, that was the 90s web, that's what I dubbed GeoCities web.
GeoCities.
There's a couple websites that I'll go to and I'll just look at it and I'll be like, it looks like they've built this in GeoCities. And I couldn't even, I assume that was, from what I remember, it was HTML, but maybe there was some sort of builder behind it to help you. But I have saved on various flash drives and CDs and whatever kind of storage devices, websites that I coded back in the, we'll say early 2000s, for like when I used to wrestle in the backyard. Like we were like those kids that were like, all right, let's be on the website. Like let's be a legitimate backyard federation and have a website. And it's atrocious. Like it's the fact that existed and that's what was the status quo. it's amazing how easy it is now. And,
I mean, things change, things shift. It's amazing with the difference.
But it is also at the same time, like there's people, that, I work with who have, taken over some responsibilities that are, web-based, and they have no business doing it because what they're used to doing at home is the very basic WordPress or Squarespace or whatever is basically a visual point and click kind of builder, which isn't always a bad thing. Like I know, I think what X uses Cornerstone, and that's like that's a great tool, but I feel like having the knowledge to let me edit this in text and throw in a couple lines of HTML is just something that's not necessarily the norm, at least not in here in Pennsylvania. It's not the norm.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays with those type of templates, you don't have to. But when I started digging deeper and started writing PHP and getting in the back end, then you can actually control some of that and actually make it a little bit better. But yeah, you're right. You can easily just sign up and get a website nowadays. And
unless there's anything major about your baseball career, before we segue into what you've been doing after baseball, let's talk about towards the end of your career. Was it injury based? Was it just age based that you were winding down in your career?
I actually started feeling like I couldn't recover as fast, and that's due to your age. You go out there, I threw hard, I threw upper 90s, so it put a lot of toll on my arm and my body, and that's, I've had 2 surgeries, and you can tell the toll it puts on you. So, it came down to I couldn't recover. I'd throw one day, and the next day I would be sore, and the next day would feel a little bit better, but I'm not at 100%. And it just took a toll on me. So, getting up there in age, you're looked at differently when you hit 30. And, I went on to play until I was 31, but, you just looked at differently.
And what was the feeling when you kind of admitted to yourself that it was time to retire, time to leave Major League Baseball?
I was okay with it. I already set myself up to, teach myself how to build websites. I would do that every off season, build a couple of my own websites and actually build a portfolio around what I've done and kind of set myself up to make that transition. I was okay. I estimated I had about 4 more years of playing baseball, or I had about another 25 in my second career. So I decided to start it 3 years earlier than I would have.
And, so in doing that, is kind of, I guess, where we intersect almost. And you retired from baseball officially in 2014, or would it be considered 13?
I guess I would finish out the season of 13, and I guess I would say I retired in 2014. I'm not sure. Something like that. You're
not sure. I mean, I guess Wikipedia officially says, I think 2013, if I remember correctly.
There you go. But can't you change that?
I guess I can, because I'm not you. I know you, so I am my own source.
I want you to edit it and just put in something just totally random. Make like another section. Put your podcast there as a title and just write some random note in there. This way when people go to it, they know about this podcast.
So not only am I going to do that, I'll do that in November when this episode goes live. But not only am I going to do that, this has nothing to do with that, really. But speaking of Wikipedia and how easy it is to edit, how many times have you gone in and just edited shit just to be an asshole?
I actually think I've done it a couple, just like a joke or something, not so much an asshole, but I don't remember what it was for, but it was way back when it was so much easier to edit that stuff.
I have not edited a Wikipedia page in quite some time. Probably within 4 years I've done it. I've gone on, and I guess I wasn't being an asshole. When I say asshole, I mean more like a joke. But I went into the page for I've done 2 things, and they're both funny just because of the reaction that Wikipedia had. I went in on the Levittown, Pennsylvania Wikipedia and added myself as a notable person for wrestling and podcasting.
That's great.
That's
awesome.
I used to wrestle under the name and do podcasts under the name of Steel Tip. I've since kind of retired that persona / gimmick, and kind of just do podcasting under my own name. But 4 or 5 years ago, I was still using the Steel Tip name. So I put under Levittown, Kevin M. Gallagher, also known as Steel Tip, former wrestler for X places, and current, I think, internet radio god. I put.
That is awesome.
You
know what you need to do? You need to do like a scavenger hunt. Put it on my wiki page, and then people have to find your name on like 20 different pages. Just put yourself as the most interesting person in that city. That's
not a bad. That would be a fun little game to do.
It would be a great game.
That gives me. All right, if I sit down now and I guess when I go back and listen to this, I have about 2 to 3 weeks to develop that game before this airs. So
I got you. Do it all in this a city region. Pick a county and just do it or a state and just do it for those counties. And then they got to find it.
Okay, I like it.
That's hilarious.
So, okay, and we'll say that my information was on there for a minimum of a month, if not longer. Now, what makes that funny is that I, years later went on to the Wikipedia page for a tomato, and somewhere on there it says that the tomato was reclassified as a vegetable in some year with some scientist. So on the line below that, we'll say it was 2013, 2012 maybe. I said, in the year 2012, this, the tomato has been reclassified as a vegetable, or as a fruit again because it has seeds and Steel Tip said so. Within 5 minutes, that was, deleted. That line that I put in was deleted. So
seriously?
That means someone is monitoring the tomato Wikipedia page 24/7. To make sure that no one screws around with tomatoes. But Levittown, PA is kind of just left behind in the dust and checked on every couple months.
Wow, how about that?
I was shocked that I could edit edit Levittown and not a tomato page. Like, it blew my mind. And maybe because the year difference in when I edited the pages, so maybe they were more on top of it when I did the tomato one. But it just blew my mind.
We'll see when you edit mine. Let's see what happens.
Well, you know what? And I'll have to wait until November to edit it so that people can cite this episode as a source. But yeah, I think this might stick. I think we might be able to get it to stick.
That'd be great.
So you retired from baseball. So how long you were in baseball for? What, about 10 years?
10 years, yes.
10 years. So in the 10 years that you were playing baseball, you built yourself up a nice little package to present as a web developer, and you've kind of got, you're not worried about retiring. You're set up to find a job in the tech field with web development. Tell us about, the process. What were you looking for? Anything in particular?
You mean as in my career path, or?
Yeah, like what was it? Well, not necessarily career path, but like what were you looking for? Like what made you come to Company X?
It was actually just the first feeler I got back. Actually, not the first, but maybe the second or third. But as a professional athlete, you have no experience in that field, so people don't really see you as being knowledgeable. So you have to actually get to a startup, get to a smaller company that'll bring you in and take that risk per se. Even though I had some portfolio items, the questions were arise, okay, how do you go from baseball to web development? That's the question that I always heard. So finding somebody that'll actually, take me in and give me a chance was one of the reasons I came to Company X.
And was transitioning into, we'll say, civilian life, did it take any time to get used to that? Was there, any setbacks, any oddities?
No, I think my off seasons were pretty much structured where I'd wake up at a certain time and then go to the gym and then do what I needed to do the rest of the day. So I kind of had that structure, and baseball teaches you that, if you're on time, you're late, and, you have a certain responsibility where you're at the field every day. You got to get up and go no matter what. There's no sick days. If you're sick, you go to the training room. So it teaches you that. So getting into a right out of baseball, right into a job is just different hours. That's about it. Everything else, you do your work, you learn while you're there, you have some fun, and you go home.
And then you kind of your career takes you from the East Coast to the West Coast. Now, is there any reason you decided to stay on the East Coast? Just because it was still like home, or like I would imagine retiring from baseball, you probably have the luxury to say, I'm going to relocate. What kept you here?
That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. When you played during the season, you're 7 months on the road, 8 months on the road. And 4 months at home. So those 4 months, came back to New Jersey. But I've had the chance to live in, here we go, the whole state of Florida, New York, Maryland, 4 different places in Maryland, Virginia, Las Vegas, and Arizona. So I've had a lot of places where I've actually lived. And then when I came home, I got to choose the best place that I felt I wanted to live in. Playing baseball, I traveled to all these different cities, and I came through San Francisco. Weather's beautiful, city's beautiful, and naturally I'm a tech guy, so Silicon Valley. This makes sense. Let's just move out there and see what we got.
And so you're in Silicon Valley now. Are you actually in Silicon Valley, or?
Yeah, no, 100%. San Jose is the valley, Silicon Valley. It's South Bay. I am right next to Google. I'm right next to Apple. I'm right next to all these other big companies, eBay, PayPal, ScanDisk, the tech companies. Just a bunch, a plethora. HP's out here. Tesla's out here. It's actually cool to drive past it. Yeah. It's really cool. Really cool stuff. If you don't have a Tesla around here, something's wrong with you, because everybody has one.
Do you have one?
No, but I'm saving up for one.
You're one of the ones that people look at and say, "Ew, he doesn't have a Tesla."
Ew, he has a Jeep Grand Cherokee. What kind of car is that? It runs on gas. Are you kidding me? You go to the mall here, you could charge up.
I saw the. I didn't even see a video. I just saw the article on the Tesla X, the SUV.
Did you see those wings, the bat wings in the back?
Yes, man.
Those things are amazing.
I saw that. I guess maybe I did see a video of those doors. And
yeah.
Oh my God, I want it. I instantly sent the article to Jen, my girlfriend, and said, I don't care what we need to do, but this is the next car. Like, we got probably 3 years. I think the car we have now, we have a 5-year loan on, so we got 5 years to save up for a Tesla X, because this is what I want. Like,
that's what I'll be saving up for now. Now that we're just speaking of.
And like, Tesla, I don't know, I guess in the last 6 months to a year, I've just been looking at Tesla cars and whatnot, and there's nothing about Tesla that I dislike. Like, that's my next investment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's got both. It's efficient, doesn't pollute, and it looks cool. Bottom line, it looks cool.
Yeah, that I don't. Listen, we love the environment. Blah 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 blah. It looks cool. That's what I care
right?
about.
Well, here you're gonna compare it. You're not gonna drive a Prius.
No. Listen, I'm all about saving the environment as long as I look fucking awesome while I do it.
Exactly. That's where the Tesla comes in.
You know what? I saw today. Driving to Company X, I saw. My new car, the Hyundai Tucson, I saw apparently they made a Walking Dead edition.
No.
Yeah, and I was looking, I was like, no, that's just like a bumper sticker or something. But I got closer to the person and looking at it, and it's a legit emblem that's on the car. And
that is funny. It's is it like a skin? Like it's wrapped?
No, I mean it looks there's the only thing that I saw that said Walking Dead or made it look like a Walking Dead car was that little emblem above the Hyundai name or the Tucson name or something. I don't know if the inside had anything special. I kind of remember when the show first started that the comic books and the magazine ads for Hyundai had a Walking Dead theme to it.
So they're a sponsor, huh?
But I don't know. I don't remember the Walking Dead car, and I wish I knew when I bought my Tucson because I would have said, "Give me the Walking Dead package." I don't know what it comes with.
They're actual packages. No.
I don't know. I mean, I could really just Google it and find out, but that involves research, and you saw how much I researched for this podcast. I went to Wikipedia. All right. So,
Wikipedia. And then put something in that Wikipedia.
let me just go to any Wikipedia that we've talked about. I can now use this podcast as cite. And
there you go. There's your scavenger hunt.
And it's truth.
Hyundai Wikipedia. Go to that one.
Hyundai Wikipedia, their Tucson model, The Walking Dead Wikipedia, Tomato Wikipedia, Jim Hoey Wikipedia.
Got them all.
So what are you doing out there besides soaking up rays? Like I don't know if you can talk about what you do now or how much detail you can go into it, but what's professional life for you out in sunny California?
All right, we're going to cut it right there. Great conversation with my good buddy Jim Hoey. We talked baseball, obviously. We talked his retirement. We talked what he's doing now. And next week, we're going to get into part 2 of our conversation, where we talk a bit about podcasting. We try to find our flow in the conversation again with some pop culture references to TV and movies and all that good stuff. Make sure you check out Mr. Jim Hoey on the Twitter at JHoey5, that's JHOEY, the number 5. You can find us on Twitter at That Entertains. You can find me on Twitter at HHWST. And you can find this show on the internet at awesomepodcast.com. So make sure you check all that fun stuff out. And we'll catch you right here next week. Same-ish time, same channel, right here, only on awesomepodcast.com.